Funny thing about blessings, people always expect them to arrive wrapped up in something nice, something easy, something that makes them smile. They think if something good is coming, life should start feeling good first. Like the skies will clear, the road will smooth out, and everything will start falling into place. But that's not how it works, is it? No, no, no. Before something big happens, before something truly worthwhile comes your way, life gets messy, chaotic, uncomfortable. And most people, they mistake that for a sign that things are going wrong, when really, it's just part of the process. People always panic when things start falling apart. They scramble, they fight, they cling to the pieces, desperate to put everything back the way it was. Like a child trying to glue a broken toy together, convinced it can still work, even when it's in 100 little shards. But what they don't see, what they never see, is that maybe, just maybe, it was never meant to stay together in the first place. Maybe it was supposed to break. Maybe that's the point. People spend their whole lives trying to hold on to things that were only meant to be temporary. They grip onto jobs that drain them, relationships that suffocate them, identities that no longer fit. They tell themselves, this is who I am, this is what I need. But life has a funny way of taking away everything that isn't actually meant for you. And when it happens, when the walls start crumbling, when the road disappears, when the things you were so sure of suddenly slip through your fingers, you think it's a disaster. You think you're being punished. You think it's the end. But maybe it's not the end at all. Maybe it's the beginning of something better, something bigger, something that actually fits. People assume that blessings arrive wrapped in something nice, something obvious, something that makes them feel good. They expect the road to get easier, the weight to lift, the answers to fall right into their lap. But that's not how it works, is it? No, no, no. When something good is coming, life doesn't just hand it to you. It prepares you for it. And preparation, oh, that's where it gets messy, because preparation looks a whole lot like destruction. It looks like losing things you thought you needed. It looks like watching plans collapse, watching people walk away, watching your whole world tilt on its axis until you can't even tell which way is up anymore. And in that moment, all you can think is, why? Why now? Why this? Why does everything that once felt certain suddenly feel like quicksand? But the real question isn't, why is this happening to me? The real question is, what is this clearing the way for? People don't like change. They say they do, they pretend they do, but when it really happens, when it actually starts to shake things up, they resist. They fight against it. They try to force things back to the way they used to be, because at least that way it's familiar. Even if it's bad for them, even if it's holding them back, they'll still choose it just because it's comfortable. That's the biggest trick of all, isn't it? People would rather stay miserable in a familiar place than take a step into the unknown. And life knows that. Life sees that. So sometimes it doesn't ask you to let go, it forces you. It rips things away, shatters illusions, burns the bridges you were too afraid to walk away from, and when it happens, when everything you were holding on to slips away, you think you're losing. You think you've hit rock bottom. But what if you're not losing? What if you're just making room? You can't build something new with your hands full of broken pieces. You can't step into the next chapter while clinging to a story that's already over. You can't receive what's meant for you while still trying to hold on to what's comfortable. But people don't see it like that, do they? No, they see things breaking, and they assume it's all going wrong. They assume life is against them. that everything is falling apart for no reason. They don't realize that sometimes things have to fall apart so something better can fall into place. People love to talk about faith, about trust, about believing that something greater is at work. But the second things start to get uncomfortable, the second life starts pulling things away, they panic. They forget everything they said about trusting the process. Because it's easy to believe in something good when everything feels good. But real faith, real trust, that happens when things don't make sense. When everything looks like it's falling apart and you still believe something better is coming. That's the part nobody wants to hear. They want the blessing without the breaking. They want the reward without the test. But it doesn't work like that. It never works like that. So the next time things start falling apart, the next time life pulls the rug out from under you, take a step back, look around. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this making space for? Because maybe, just maybe, nothing is actually falling apart. Maybe everything is just falling into place. People think discomfort means something is wrong, that if they're uneasy, lost, uncertain, if they feel that itch under their skin that won't go away, then they must have made a mistake. They must have taken the wrong path, made the wrong choice, landed somewhere they don't belong. But that's the lie, isn't it? That's the trick the mind plays. Because discomfort, oh, that's not a sign that you're lost. That's a sign that you're growing. And growth never feels good. See, people want to change, they want to evolve, they want to become something more. But they don't actually want to go through the part that hurts. They love the idea of transformation, of waking up one day stronger, wiser, better. But when the real work starts, when things start shifting, breaking, stretching in ways they didn't expect, that's when they panic. That's when they start looking for a way out, because they thought growth would feel inspiring, empowering, easy. But real growth, real change, that feels like pressure. That feels like standing in the fire while everything you thought you were melts away. The funny thing is, people say they want better, but they expect to get there while staying the same. They think they can just wake up one day with a brand new life while holding on to the same fears, the same habits, the same mindset that's been keeping them small. But the universe doesn't work like that. No, no, no. It will make you uncomfortable before it makes you stronger. It will push you, stretch you, force you into situations where you have no choice but to let go of the person you used to be. And the worst part, it won't ask your permission first. People get stuck in comfort zones like quicksand. They sink deeper and deeper, telling themselves they're fine, that there's no reason to move, that things aren't that bad. And maybe they're not. Maybe things are just good enough to keep them there, just safe enough to convince them to stay still. But deep down, they feel it, that pull, that whisper, that nagging feeling that they were meant for something more. And they ignore it. They push it down. Because stepping into something new, that means risking failure. That means stepping into the unknown. And oh, people hate the unknown. They'd rather stay in a life that drains them than take a chance on something better. But when life wants you to grow, when it's time for you to step into something greater, it won't let you stay comfortable. It will start making the things you once settled for unbearable. It will turn the places you used to feel safe into places you can't stand to be in anymore. It will make the conversations, the routines, the familiar things you once clung to feel empty, dull, suffocating. And when that happens, you have two choices. You can listen or you can fight it. Most people fight it. They resist. They hold on even tighter. They convince themselves that if they just wait long enough, things will go back to normal. But there is no going back. The moment you start feeling that discomfort, that shift, that pull towards something else, that's your sign. That's life giving you a choice. Stay where you are or step into something new. But stepping into something new, that requires something most people don't have. It requires trust. People love to talk about trusting the process, about believing that things are happening for a reason. But when they start feeling lost, when nothing makes sense, when they're standing in the middle of uncertainty with no clear answers, that's when their faith crumbles. That's when they start looking for a way to retreat, to go back to what's safe. But trust, real trust, that happens when you don't have a single clue what's coming next, but you keep moving anyway. The thing about discomfort is that it's never random. It doesn't show up just to mess with you, just to make your life harder. It shows up to push you, to wake you up, to shake you out of the illusion that you can stay the same and still become everything you're meant to be. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Strength isn't built in easy times. And if life has started to feel uneasy, if the things that once felt fine suddenly feel unbearable, if you're questioning everything, maybe that's not a sign that something is wrong. Maybe that's the sign that everything is about to change. People think when someone walks away, it's a loss. That if someone leaves, if they cut ties, if they drift into the background of your life like a character written out of a script, it means something went wrong, that something should have been done differently. That maybe, just maybe, if they had said the right words, made the right moves, played the game just right, that person would have stayed. But that's the joke, isn't it? Thinking people leave because of something you did. Thinking their exit is a reflection of your worth. Thinking you had control over any of it in the first place. The truth is, not everyone is meant to stay. Some people, they're just passing through. Temporary roles in a story that was never theirs to finish. But people don't like that idea. No, they want permanence. They want guarantees. They want to believe that every person who walks into their life is meant to be there forever. And when reality proves them wrong, when someone they thought would always be there suddenly isn't, they take it personally. They call it betrayal. They call it abandonment. They sit there wondering what they did to deserve it, when the real question is, what if this was supposed to happen? What if this was the plan all along? See, people like to think relationships are built to last. But the real world? The real world runs on expiration dates. Friendships, partnerships, connections. Most of them aren't built to go the distance. And yet people fight against that truth. They hold on to people who have already let go of them. They try to resuscitate relationships that have already flatlined. They keep calling, keep texting, keep trying to squeeze life out of something that's already gone cold. But the longer you hold on to someone who isn't meant to stay, the longer you delay the people who are. The universe doesn't take people away to punish you. It removes them to clear the path. Maybe they were blocking your growth. Maybe they were distracting you from where you were actually supposed to go. Maybe you had to lose them so you could finally find you. But people don't see it that way. They think if someone mattered, if someone made them feel something real, then they should have stayed. But just because someone had a purpose in your story doesn't mean they were supposed to be in every chapter. People don't like to admit how much they outgrow others. They'd rather shrink themselves down, dull their edges, fit into old spaces that no longer match who they've become. They tell themselves they have to stay connected, that history means something, that loyalty means never letting go. But what about loyalty to yourself? What about the version of you that's been trying to evolve, trying to move forward, trying to become something more? You can't grow while holding on to people who only know how to love the old you. You can't step into your next phase of life while dragging ghosts from the past behind you. Sometimes people leave because they were never meant to go where you're headed. They served their purpose. They taught their lesson, they played their part, and now they're gone. And maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be. But that's not what most people want to hear, is it? No, they want to believe they can fix things. That if they hold on tighter, if they try harder, if they do more, they can change the outcome. But what if the outcome was already decided? What if they were always going to leave? People forget that not everyone is built to handle your evolution. That some people only loved you because you fit into the version of yourself that was convenient for them. That the second you started changing, growing, stepping into who you were actually meant to be, they started pulling away. And that wasn't a betrayal. That was a reveal. That was life showing you exactly who was temporary and who was real. So let them go. Let them walk. Let them disappear into the background like they were always meant to. Because the ones who matter, the ones who are meant to stay, you'll never have to beg them to be there. People think when a door closes, it's a bad thing. That when something doesn't work out, when an opportunity vanishes, when a path they swore was meant for them suddenly disappears, it means they've failed. It means they weren't good enough, weren't smart enough, weren't worthy enough. And so they sit there, staring at that locked door, banging on it, begging for it to open again, convinced that if they just try hard enough, they can force their way back in. But that's the joke, isn't it? Thinking they're supposed to go backward. Thinking that just because something looked right, it was right. Thinking they know better than whatever force is out there moving the pieces. People love the illusion of control. They love to believe they have everything mapped out. That if they just follow the plan, follow the rules, do everything right, then nothing will go wrong. But the second life throws a wrench in their perfect little blueprint, oh, they hate that. They fight it. They scream, they curse, they look up at the sky and ask, "Why me?" As if life is supposed to cater to them. As if things aren't happening exactly the way they need to happen. Because here's the thing, doors don't close to punish you. They close because you were never meant to walk through them in the first place. Oh, but people don't like that answer. They want explanations. They want reasons. They want someone to tell them why that relationship ended, why they lost that job, why that plan they were so sure of suddenly collapsed. And when they don't get their answer right away, they spiral. They convince themselves that they did something wrong. That if they had been better, smarter, more prepared, then maybe things would have worked out. But what they don't realize is that sometimes the worst thing that could ever happen to them is actually the best thing that could have happened. They just don't see it yet. People get so attached to their own ideas of what their life is supposed to look like. They obsess over certain jobs, certain relationships, certain plans, convincing themselves that if they don't get this, then nothing else will ever be as good. So when life takes it away, when it slams a door shut right in their face, they break, they crumble, They act like everything is over, like there's nothing left for them, but oh, if only they knew. If only they could see what's waiting on the other side of all that grief, all that disappointment, all that loss. Because here's the thing about closed doors. They're not just keeping you out of something, they're keeping something out of you. Maybe that job wasn't meant for you because it would have drained you, suffocated you, turned you into someone you were never supposed to be. Maybe that person you swore you couldn't live without would have ended up destroying you. Maybe that opportunity you're so angry about losing would have taken you in the wrong direction entirely. But you don't see that, do you? No, all you see is the rejection. All you feel is the sting of being told no. But sometimes no is the greatest gift you'll ever receive. People act like they want what's best for them. But the second life starts removing things, the second doors start closing, they panic. They chase after things that aren't meant for them. They sit outside doors that are locked, wasting time, wasting energy, waiting for something that's never coming back. And meanwhile, somewhere else, a door is opening. A better one, a bigger one that leads exactly where they were meant to go. But they're too busy mourning what they thought they wanted to even notice. The problem isn't that life takes things away. The problem is that people don't trust what comes next. They don't trust that if something didn't work out, it wasn't supposed to. They don't trust that every door that closes is just making room for the one that's actually meant for them. They'd rather sit there broken and bitter, convincing themselves that they lost something irreplaceable. But if something was truly meant for you, nothing could take it away. And if it was taken away, then it was never meant for you in the first place. People think waiting means nothing is happening. That if life slows down, if things stop moving, if the phone isn't ringing and the opportunities aren't knocking, it means they've been forgotten, that they're stuck, that they're wasting time. And that drives people insane. Because they want movement, they want action, they want things to be happening now. And when they don't get that, they panic. They start clawing at the walls, looking for any way to force things to happen faster. Because the last thing people want to do is wait. See, people love to talk about patience, but the truth, they don't have any. They want results before they put in the work. They want answers before the questions even make sense. They want things to come together without ever having to sit through the part where everything falls apart. And when life tells them not yet, when things don't go their way right away, they act like the world has turned its back on them. They convince themselves that if something isn't happening immediately, it's never going to happen at all. But that's not how it works, is it? No. The universe isn't some vending machine where you press a button and get what you want instantly. It moves on its own time. It shifts things behind the scenes, rearranges the pieces, makes sure everything is exactly where it needs to be before it hands it over to you. But people, they don't want to hear that. They want what they want, and they want it now. So they rush, they settle, they take whatever they can get because the idea of waiting terrifies them. They convince themselves that something less is better than nothing at all. They lower their standards, make desperate choices, force things into existence that were never meant to be. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why nothing seems to fit, why they're standing in the middle of the life they thought they wanted, and it still doesn't feel right. That's what happens when you don't trust the wait. You end up with a version of your life that was built out of impatience, out of fear, out of the desperate need to feel like you're doing something, even when doing nothing was exactly what you were supposed to be doing. But people don't see that. No, they think if they're not constantly moving, constantly achieving, constantly winning, then they're losing. They don't understand that sometimes the pause isn't punishment, it's preparation. Life doesn't make you wait to hurt you, it makes you wait because you're not ready yet. Because the things you're asking for, the things you're dreaming about, the things you think you want, you couldn't even handle them right now. You're not strong enough yet, not wise enough yet, not the person you need to be to receive it yet. But try telling that to someone who's desperate for change. Try telling that to someone who's been waiting for years, feeling like they're stuck in the same place, watching everyone else move forward while they stand still. Oh, they won't believe you. They'll say it's unfair, that they've earned it, that they deserve it. But the truth is, some things are bigger than what you deserve. Because this isn't about fairness. It's not about what's owed to you. It's about timing. It's about alignment. It's about the version of you that exists right now not being ready for the version of the life you're meant to have. And that's what people don't get. They think waiting is punishment, that it means they're not good enough, that it means they're being overlooked, but really it means they're becoming. It means they're in the process of turning into the person who will know what to do when the time finally comes. But most people don't want to wait. They want shortcuts. They want instant gratification. They want to wake up one day and suddenly have everything they've ever wanted without having to sit through the part where it feels impossible. But the longer they fight the wait, the longer they resist it, the longer they ignore the lesson in it, the longer they delay everything that's already meant for them. Because here's the thing about patience. It's not about sitting around doing nothing. It's about trusting that the time you spend waiting isn't time wasted at all. People love to say they want change. They talk about it like it's this magical thing, this grand transformation that'll suddenly make everything better. Oh, if only things were different. If only life would just shift in my favor. They want change. But the second life starts shaking things up, the second things stop feeling comfortable, the second everything they thought was solid starts to crack, oh, now they're scared. Now they're clinging to the old, to the familiar, to the very thing they swore they wanted to escape from. Because the truth is, people don't really want change. They want the idea of it. The version that doesn't require them to actually go through anything difficult. See, change isn't some gentle little breeze that sweeps through your life and politely asks for permission. No. It comes like a storm. It rips things apart. It tears things down. It takes away the things you thought you couldn't live without. And then it just watches what you do next. Because that's the thing about change. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable. It comes when it needs to, whether you like it or not. But people, they don't like that part. They like stability. They like knowing what's next. They like waking up in the morning and feeling like everything is under control. And when change comes in and flips everything upside down, when the routine breaks, when the plan collapses, when nothing feels certain anymore, oh, now they start panicking. Why is this happening? What did I do to deserve this? As if change is some kind of punishment, as if life is out to get them just because things aren't staying exactly the way they want them to. But that's the joke, isn't it? Thinking things were ever supposed to stay the same. thinking life is meant to be predictable, steady, safe. But nothing real grows in comfort. Nothing worth having comes without disruption. You don't just wake up one day and become the person you're supposed to be. No, you get broken into it. You get stripped down, torn apart, pushed to your limits. Everything that isn't real about you, everything that's holding you back, everything that's keeping you small, it has to go. And that is what change really is. But people love to resist. They cling to the past like it's a lifeline. They fight to hold on to things that are already slipping through their fingers. They beg for old relationships to stay, for old versions of themselves to remain intact, for life to just slow down and stop forcing them to move forward. But what they don't realize is that the more they fight it, the worse it gets. Because change doesn't lose. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care how much you beg. It takes what it needs to take, and it doesn't look back. That's why people struggle. That's why they sit there feeling like everything is falling apart. Because they don't understand that nothing is falling apart. It's falling into place. They think life is being unfair when really, it's doing them a favor. It's moving the pieces, shifting the path, clearing the way for something better. But people don't see that when they're in the middle of it. No, all they see is loss. All they feel is fear. They don't realize that the things being taken from them were never meant to last in the first place. See, the thing about change is that it forces you to become something else. It forces you to let go of things you thought were permanent. It forces you to trust the unknown, to step into spaces you've never been before, to become something new. And that terrifies people, because they don't know who they are without the things they're losing. They don't know what's waiting for them on the other side. They don't know if they can handle it, but the funny part, they don't have a choice, because change doesn't ask, it just is. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't wait until you feel strong enough. It just happens. You either adapt or you get left behind. You either trust that everything being removed is making space for something bigger, or you sit there stuck watching your old life fade away while you refuse to step into the new one. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you want. Change is coming, whether you're ready for it or not.